how can we as outside investors, as people really just having access to the annual reports and the information online and business and investing journalism and interviews that company leaders give, how can we get a sense of that ecosystem? What stuff do you look at when you're learning about companies that you're not involved in?
So I look at output rather than R&D spending. So
tell me about
have
that.
they come up with new solutions in the last period, be it a year, whatever? Have they thought about a new way of solving a customer problem? And how quickly were they able to not just test it in one market, but really move it out at scale throughout different markets? And there is such a difference between, just investing in R&D and then showing the output in terms of new products, new services, etc.
I think that's what's hard to see as an outsider is, okay, here's their investment, here's what they say they're doing. What are they actually putting out? What's the result of something that they started 2 years ago and then maybe just never told people about ever again and just hoped that everyone would forget about it? That kind of stuff is always, I try to track it, and it's very hard to track sometimes because they don't have to tell us these things.
Right. So apart from the pharma business that does a very good job of showing, what their pipeline looks like, what's in, phase 1, 2, 3, etc.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. That's an easier one.
I've always been pushing for companies in other industries to take a leaf from the pharma industry. You can still be covered by your intellectual property and all those other things, but it's not until you tell the market and you make yourself accountable for reaching different milestones that you can create an uptick in market capitalization that pays for that innovation.
Oh, tell me more about that. So do you actually look for companies that say, we are going to do this in 2 years, and they say that publicly and then track it for the market? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I would love to see this across more industries, but if you just look at the pharma industry, you can see that as their pipeline improves or as they get some very interesting things from phase 2 clinical trials to phase 3 clinical trials, for example, you can see an uptake in their stock price. So actually,
directly, yeah.
You can start seeing that the way you invest in innovation pays off differently. You don't just have to invest for 10 years to get a new drug to market, then sell it, have it IP protected for a while, and use those margins to pay yourself back. In reality, what happens during that period is that your stock price goes up in anticipation of the additional sales. And that's what allows you to kind of reinvest in innovation in a much quicker way. This is what startups rely on, right? When they become unicorns, for example.
Kind of a virtuous cycle of innovation.
Yes, for sure. But, the trick is in delivering. So the trick is in creating that output. And you can only do it if you make yourself accountable for reaching certain milestones.
One thing I've a few times tried to set up for myself, and I haven't really followed through on it, but this is making me think maybe I should work more on it, is make notes of what a company does say about what they're working on, so that then in a year, 2 years, 5 years, I can look back at my own notes, and even if they never mention that thing again, I will know that they never mentioned that thing again, that they didn't say, hey, that didn't work. Because I would love a company to say, remember last year when we told you this thing? It didn't work. And now we're working on this other thing. Because that's honest. That's giving me great information as an investor. It's the ones that never mention it again that worry me.
For sure. And good innovation learns a lot from failures.
Yes. Yes.
So the story is we closed this project. We closed this project. It didn't work because here is what we learned. And this is what is informing us for our next set of goals. And for me, I'm particularly curious these days of looking at all of this, with all the companies that are signed up for carbon zero goals.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
there was some analysis done about a year ago that about 24% of the Fortune 500 had already signed up to some set of fact-based, science-based carbon zero goal between now and 2030 or 2040. Fast forward a year with all of this disruption, this has grown a lot. And for me, this is so interesting because so many companies have said, okay, this is what we want to do. Within 10 years, we will be able to do X, Y, Z. And this is the perfect way to create innovation inside a company. You've got a very clear goal. The kind of solutions that your technology or your company can provide. And it really focuses the mind of everybody in the company to try and solve that with their special source, with their special knowledge. And I'm expecting a lot of new things to come from there and build upon each other.
Are there different kinds of innovation? I feel like you've mentioned a few already just in our talk, a few different ways of thinking about it. Do you think about it as in a structure of types of innovation?
Yes. So there's two ways of looking at innovation. One is timelines, so horizon 1, 2, and 3. What can you do within the next 6 months, a year? What can you do within
more of
the
a
next
goal
3 to 4 years, and what can you do further on? There's another proxy for that, is that things that you can do in horizon 1 are more incremental. I can fix this, I can make that more efficient, I can repackage this, and things that are 10-year plus are substantially different, real breakthrough type innovations. They don't automatically go together, but thinking in terms of time horizons does help. The other way to look at it is to how are you putting your skills to work on solutions that are outside of your core business?
Oh.
So if things are very close to your core business, you can think of them as incremental. But if they are further, you can think of them as, substantially different breakthroughs of some kind.
Oh, so kind of the disruptive innovation that would more typically come from other companies, right? From startups, from people really creating something new.
Absolutely. And Clay Christensen, who's a real hero of mine in the innovation space, had this wonderful quote that disruptive innovation creates jobs and innovation for efficiency destroys them. And I think it's such an interesting lens to look at innovation through.
Yeah, say that again.
So disruptive innovation creates jobs, and innovation that focuses on efficiency destroys them.
I'm so glad you brought that out, because right now in this insane COVID environment that we have of the lockdowns and many companies really struggling, many companies doing gangbusters because of the change in our lives, we have seen so many jobs be lost. And I hate to think of innovation as being something that leads more towards robots and less jobs for humans. But that is what we kind of see as lay people.
So here's a view. A year ago, most large companies would prefer to spend their innovation money on increasing efficiency. How can I automate my production, for example?
Yeah.
But that costs us this year in terms of resilience.
You guys, if you enjoyed this video and you feel it was valuable in teaching you more about how to invest, hit the like button and please share the video with your friends. And if you want more investing content, subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the button on the screen. We got a free gift for you. Thanks again for watching.